Okay, let's pretend it's 2025. I've just decided to become a wedding planner and I have none of the experience, none of the contact, and none of the 200 plus weddings under my belt. Just vibes and a dream. What do I actually do to get started? If you're in that place right now, stick around because I'm gonna break down what I wish I knew and what I wish someone told when I was first starting out. First, I would get clarity. I would start by figuring out what kind of weddings light me up. Is it desert, destination weddings? Is it micro weddings in the woods? Is it ballroom weddings with good air conditioning? This is where your brand will start. And I don't think you have to have it all figured out right away. It's best if you can go and dip your toe in a little bit of everything to learn exactly what you love and, more importantly, maybe what you don't love. You know me, I absolutely love assisting other planners, especially when you're just getting started, to figure out what types of events, because it might not be weddings, that you're really enjoying doing and what style of leadership you enjoy. Then I would pick a simple name. Don't overthink it. And let me just say something about choosing a name that is your personal name for your business name. There's certainly pros and cons with that. So for example, if you are currently unmarried and you do get married and want to change your last name down the road, do you want to have your new last name as your event name or your old last name as your event name, or neither? Perhaps you just want something that's evergreen in the sense that it doesn't matter what type of events you're doing, it falls under a more generic name. The other thing to think about is I feel like when people choose their own personal name for their event company, if you end up deciding to grow your team down the road and it has your name, like Jill Smith Event, but Jill decides to step away from the business to be the badass that she is and just grow the team, is it going to be misleading to couples if Jill is no longer in the company? Not necessarily. On the flip side, some people are just really known for their design, and so couples can associate a person's name with the type of design that they're going to get. So totally up to you on how you want to do that. Next, I would also register my business and set up a separate business bank account. Not only that, but you're really going to want to make sure you get business insurance. For wedding planners, it's actually pretty cheap. I want to say it's under $500 a year. Maybe it's gone up a little bit since. I personally use this company called RV Nuccio. There's a ton of other businesses out there that will provide event planner insurance. And because we don't really have any equipment, and if you're just starting out, you won't have any employees, it's very inexpensive for you to be covered for the entire year. The next part is you're gonna wanna gain experience. You've heard me talk about this a million times before in previous videos, but I just cannot emphasize this enough. I would personally shadow anybody who would let me in the event industry. Of course, it could be planners, because if that's the route you're going, but I'm also talking about caterers, photographers, rental companies. Like, if you can get jobs in any of those event departments, you are always gonna learn something really amazing that will help you become a better planner. You know, if you've been following me for a while, I've talked about this before. I worked for a catering company years and years ago, but then also more recently during the pandemic, we didn't have any weddings or events, and this catering company was hiring here in Nashville. And I thought it was a really great opportunity for me to get to know the city a little bit better and figure out what the venues are, where this catering company is working. But not only that, it ended up being this amazing experience where they sent me clients because they trusted me as an employee for them. But I also got to learn so much more about the nitty-gritty behind the scenes of a catering team and the food and beverage service. So now when I build my timelines for event clients, I am like, pause, we need to look at this timeline for the buffet or the food service or the plated meal or the bartenders. They need this much time to load in. Like, I understand that so much more, and that has given me a huge leg up on my competition. And I should mention this to you guys, since you are all in my inner circle here on YouTube. I recently posted an application for two assistant positions that were going to be out in Utah. If you follow me, you know that we do some pretty extraordinary, like glamping style, multi-day weddings in the middle of these really cool places, but also in the middle of nowhere. And we usually need some big teams for those events. So I recently posted an application and I found two amazing planners, but I thought I would start leaving that link below so that if you are watching this and you are looking to get more experience and you want to apply for that essentially assistant internship, you could fill this out and I will keep you in mind for future events. So then once I started my business, I'm going to keep things very simple. I'm not offering 12 different things. I'm not saying saying that everything is customizable. I am offering one package. So what I'm saying is I'm gonna basically create one single package. And for now, that's gonna be wedding management, AKA wedding coordination, and a flat rate. And let me tell you why. I think when you're first getting started, the biggest challenge is making sure that you are setting your boundaries and your expectations with clients early on, because that is something that is very, very hard to learn down the road. I am still learning it and I am still struggling with client boundaries, but had I implemented that from the very beginning, I just would have like built that muscle, you know, the memory muscle of it. And so I would recommend saying you have one package with a flat fee. Let's call it event coordination, $1,500. You will list out everything in that package, that bullet points of everything that you do for the client. I've also done it where I've listed out everything that the client is responsible for. So if there's confusion, you can refer back to that document. It's something that I just make on Canva, but you could put, you know, planner is responsible for doing the following things: creating the timeline, doing the floor plan, you know, checking in with vendors a few weeks before the wedding, and then coordinating on site up to X number of hours, 10 hours for the day, 12 hours for the day, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then maybe the couple has to read a section that says couple is responsible for designing their wedding, sourcing the vendors, managing their budget, booking, hiring, like doing all the contract with the vendors, all that stuff. It just, the more clarity you can give them and yourself, the better the relationship will be down the road. And again, I mentioned something like $1,500. I know that prices are gonna vary by location. Every city is going to be very different. So look up in your area what your competitors are offering. It's easy to even ask ChatGPT and be location specific about it, but I'm begging you, please don't do something for like $300 or $700 for the day. It's doing you a disservice. And for whatever reason, couples think the cheaper they get something, the more they can take advantage of that, if that makes sense. That you give them an inch, they take a mile. So be sure to set your boundaries and have a price that you go home with and you feel like that was worth it to you. You worked hard, you made a profit, and you are in business. Next, we have to get you found, right? So if I'm starting over, I know that I do not need a fully developed website quite yet. A lot of people are good with just setting up an Instagram page, or even Canva has a really easy way that you can create like a website looking page with templates already set up. So I would just make sure that you have a place that people can take a look at your portfolio, or at the very least, if you don't have any photos yet, they can get to know you. So pictures of yourself and your team, if you have anybody assisting or helping, and just in general, what you stand for and who you're targeting, what types of events you're excited to do. Okay. And maybe more importantly than the web page or Instagram account is you've got to start building your vendor relationships. Here's what I mean by that. You guys know that I often like to try my best to get on preferred vendor lists. And in order to do that, I reach out to venues and I ask to go do a site tour. I've talked about this in other videos. I will try to link them here if I can remember which one they're in. But essentially, I ask to promote them. I want to either do style shoots at their venues. I want to connect with some of their in-house vendors if they haven't. I just want to make sure that I'm offering them something so that in return, they are more inclined to refer me and send me new clients. And you would be surprised at how many of our referrals come from vendors, not from couples looking for us on Instagram, not from publications on wedding blog posts, but from one-on-one connections with vendors who we feel are very like-minded. When we went out and had coffee with them, we maybe like included them in a blog post of like our favorite photographers we would love to work with in Nashville, stuff like. If you're even just at the very, very beginning of your wedding planning business, I would start reaching out to vendors on Instagram, commenting them on some of their photography or their posts or any, going to some of their events if they're hosting open houses, open to the public, or even reaching out to places like rental companies and catering to say, hey, I'd love to come in and get a tour of your facility. I'd love to check out your rentals. I'm just new to the area and I'm new to my business, but I'd love to come take a look. So essentially, if I was starting today, I would not chase perfection. I would chase momentum. The biggest thing, you've got to keep putting the work in. You've got to keep going, and don't be afraid of getting some no's from time to time. That's going to happen, but you've just got to put yourself out. And more importantly, I would learn from people who've done this before. And that is exactly why I created the YouTube membership that I have. I want to be able to welcome any new planner coming in, and I literally spill the tea on everything. I show you my books. I show you my pricing structure. We talk about Pinterest strategies and I really grew my business with Pinterest. We talked about SEO strategies that I just learned from like a coach that I am in their mastermind. So like, I don't hold back in the YouTube membership. I would love to know what part of the journey you're in right now. So leave me a comment and tell me where you're at. Like, what are you struggling with? Maybe what's holding you? And I would love to help. As always, thanks so much for tuning in. I would love for you to give me a big thumbs up, and I will catch you next week. Bye.